Are you ready to learn how to use a Vernier caliper? Let's get to it. Step 1 is learning how you can use this thing to actually measure. Let me show you. There's different areas of the caliper that you can use depending on the measurement you need. First thing, you have the large claws. And here, you use it to measure the outside distance of an object. So I can measure the thickness of my pen using these claws here. Secondly, you can use it to measure the inside of an object. For instance, this pen cap. If I wanted the inside diameter of this pen cap, I would use these two claws. So you would put it inside of the object that you want to measure, open it up, remove the object, and here I can take my reading from the scale. Third thing, we got the depth. Here on these cheap calipers, we got this metal bar that extends out. So if I wanted to measure the depth, I lay this flat, I open it up, remove, and I can read it now. Last thing that we have for this is step. We hardly ever use step. Generally, I find people like to use the depth instead. However, if you had an object that was stuck to something, let's say if I wanted to measure how far up this cinder block came off the wall, I could put the head of the caliper in it, and I would slide the back portion right here to match the step. So that's how you would measure step. Same idea. You put it in, and then you can take your measurement. So let's talk about how to read the actual caliper and its scale. So now we're looking at the belly of the beast, and there's a lot more numbers than you're used to seeing on a ruler. But I'm going to help navigate this with you by using an example. Okay, here's my example. We're going to take a pen, measure the outside, take it off, and I got some paper here. Okay, so we're going to start with the metric end. Here you see that the scale is in centimeters. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be in centimeters, and it actually can measure down to 0.05 millimeters. So I'm going to start. How many full centimeters do I have? I don't have 1, so I got 0. Now I got the 0. I'm going to count the little ones. These are my millimeters. So I got 5, 6, 7, and I look to see where the 0 lines up. So it looks like I just got the 8. So check where that 0 lines up and see how many full millimeters I have. So I got 8 millimeters. Now here's where things get a little nuts. This is where we're going to actually use the scale on the caliper itself. Now here you've got 0, 1, 2, 3. These are tenths of a millimeter, and then the 5s, or the halfway points, are going to be half a millimeter. Or so. No. These are going to be halves of a tenth of a millimeter. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to look at this scale and try to find what marking matches up perfectly to one of the gradations, one of these lines on the main scale itself. This thing has been formulated specifically to only have one of these lines match up with what's on the normal scale. So I'm going to check this out one by one. Do I have the 0? It's not perfect. 0.5. Not perfect. It's a little to the right. 1 is looking pretty good. 0.5 is pretty good. 2 is starting to go to the left. You see how this number is to the left of this line a little bit? And it's going to get more exaggerated. A little more to the left, a little more to the left, a little more to the left, a little more to the left here, a little more to the left there. So I'm going to stick around here. This looks like my area. And I'm going to say 0.15. Let's see, 0.15 or 2. I'd say 0.15. So my number ends up being 0.815, but my original value was centimeters. So here I've used the decimal side to measure the thickness of that pen. Same deal, I'm going to measure the thickness of the pen for round 2, which is going to be inches. And I just slid that up. So let's get my reading again. So I open it up. I'm going to close it I missed. There's a ridge that you got to hit here. So I close it up. Starts off pretty much the same. I'm going to look for how many full inches I have. And surprise, surprise, I have 0 full inches. Okay, I did that by looking at the 0 and seeing where the 0 lines up. Step 2, how many increments? Now let me talk about the increments here. If I were to count 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 quarters, there's 4 notches within 1/4 of an inch. So that means I've got 1/4 of 1/4, 1/16. So I got 1/16 of an inch here. Now, this is now going from 0 to 8, which is weird because we're not used to that. But what it's doing is it's breaking down each one of these 16ths into eighths. So 1/16 times 1/8, you can check my math on a calculator, is 1/128. And that's how it comes up with this 1/28 of an inch. So now that I've gotten my, let's see, I have no full inches, so I got 0 full inches. Now I'm trying to determine how many 16ths I have. So step 1, I'm just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's right on it. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to just say it's a little further up, just to give you a better example. So here I just have 5/16. So 5/16. If I just multiply this by 8, I can get this into 1/28. So it would be 40 1/28. That's step, I don't know, 2. Step 2, so we get full inches. Now we're going for 16ths. Step 3 is going to be 1/28. So here it's not exactly on the, what is it, 5 1/28, 5/16. Now I'm going to check these lines, similarly to the metric lines, to see which one of these gradations on the moving scale lines up perfectly. 0 doesn't match. Okay, let's see. 1. 1's pretty good. Ooh, 2's looking even better. 3 is a little to the left. You see that? It's a little to the left. 4 is even more to the left. 5, 6. Why would we even waste our time? Get out of here. I don't want you. I want to be down here. So I look. 0's no. No. I'm going to say 2. 2 looks like a good match. So that's another 2 1/28. So when I add these two together, I get 42 1/28 of an inch. And this can be reduced into 21 64ths of an inch. And that is how you use the Vernier caliper to read in both metric down here and imperial on the other side. Best of luck to you.